My first astral projection. Let me tell you about that. Hey guys, welcome back to Tipharot, and in this video I want to talk a bit about my first ever astral projection, what it was like. I had some requests earlier from people asking me if I could share some of my dreaming stories, and I've got a whole load of cool lucid dreaming stories I could share with you guys. If you want that, then leave a comment below, let me know that's what you'd like. But for now I wanted to share my first ever astral projection experience story, because for me it was like a major event, because it took me a long time to have it. And basically, you know, I'd been reading up about astral projection, and initially I kind of got this impression that the people who were talking about it were just talking about lucid dreaming. And, you know, I'd already lucid dreamed before, so I wasn't interested. I thought it was just the same thing. Now, as I read more about it, I saw these, you know, subtle differences that people were, when people were comparing them, that astral projection and lucid dreaming seemed to actually be very similar in some respects, but also different phenomena. They weren't the same thing. So I started investigating more, and I said, all right, I'm going to try it. I'll try out a method. So I Googled a method, and I found a whole host of methods, and I started trying them out. I think I started with a similar method to the one that I teach in my astral projection video, which I'll link to up there. And I started with a similar method, but I didn't really do the whole relaxing into sleep paralysis bit. I was trying to almost force my body into sleep paralysis. I was trying to like freeze up my body and hope that it would just go into sleep paralysis, and that really doesn't work. So I was trying that. I was laying there for probably an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours. Nothing happened. So I try again the next day, and the next and the next, and it just wasn't working. And I started wondering, like, you know, maybe these people are just making it up, you know. So after a while, you know, it's probably after a few weeks or something like that, I started doing it differently. I started doing it after waking up in the morning, you know, when in REM, because I heard that it was easier to achieve in REM. Similar to lucid dreaming, except with lucid dreaming you have to be in REM. With astral projection you don't, but it's a lot easier. And so I decided to try it in REM, and I didn't get much further, but I did get to the point where, you know, I was starting to get closer to sleep paralysis and things like that, and I started to feel that maybe I could actually achieve this. So, you know, fast forward a little bit, and I discovered the I think the Monroe Institute Hemisync tapes. Those are these really great tapes. They're quite expensive, but they're really great tapes that basically guide you through the astral projection process, and they show you like these different focus levels. Basically, what they mean by focus levels is like your level of like relaxation. So for them, you know, focus 10 is where you're completely in your head and just your body is relaxed, and then you have like focus 12 where you're out of your mind is kind of out of your body elsewhere, and all of this. And you go through these tapes and you learn about these different stages, and you learn how to kind of go back to these stages and all of this. And doing this, I was able to go a lot further into relaxation. I was able to let go of, you know, the muscle tension and all of that a lot easier, and it really helped me. And, you know, if you actually have the money to spend, I would recommend getting these Hemisync tapes. I'll actually give a link to where I got them from down below. But basically, you know, I did these tapes for a while, and they were helping me. They helped me with my meditation. They helped me, you know, get into a relaxed state before self-hypnosis a lot easier. They were helping me with a lot of things, but they still didn't get me quite to astral projection. Now, I still recommend the tapes wholeheartedly, but it was one little thing that basically got me my first astral projection. So the little thing that someone said was, don't try to get to sleep paralysis. Try to go to sleep, while remaining aware that you're, you know, trying to be aware of your body as it falls asleep. Now, this might sound like no different, but this subtle difference like makes everything completely different, and it allowed me to get into sleep paralysis. So I was laying there in bed one day, and this was a while back now, and I was laying there and I just relaxed, I relaxed, and I was trying the methods. I was trying the methods from before, you know, I was just trying to get myself to sleep paralysis. It wasn't working. But then I kind of had this feeling like I was going to astral project for the first time today. I don't know, this weird feeling came over me, like I just knew I was going to do it. And so at that moment I decided I need to go to sleep. So I went to sleep. I just told myself I'm going to sleep. I told myself I'd be aware. And the next thing I know, I'm in sleep paralysis. Voila, I'm there. Now the thing is, I'd got to sleep paralysis before, but I'd never got there consciously. And so this was a big milestone for me, because I'd woken up plenty of times in sleep paralysis before, but then I'd forget to do the technique to get out of my body, the rope technique, so it wouldn't work anyway. This time I'd consciously got there and I remembered the technique, so I started doing the rope technique, and you know, I felt my body vibrating, and I'd gotten to this stage, you know, maybe once or twice before by accident, but I was pulling on the rope, you know, the imaginary rope, climbing it, and I started to feel these vibrations, and it was like, it felt like there was something inside of my skull that just wanted to get out of my skull, and it was just ramming against the skull, ramming against it, ramming against it. It was like excruciatingly strong, not painful, just very, very intense, like overwhelmingly intense. And I didn't know what was going to happen at that point. I just kept going, I kept going, I kept going. And then the vibrations got so intense that I just couldn't like physically handle it. It was just like so uncomfortable, and I hadn't expected it to be so. So I gave up at that point. And at this point, I came out of sleep paralysis. Now, I'd got consciously to sleep paralysis, but I was determined I have to get back there, and I didn't want to go through the, you know, the process of waiting to fall asleep and, you know, watching my body. So I did something different. I decided I'm going to go into a lucid dream now, and then come out of it in sleep paralysis. Because for me, getting into a lucid dream is easy. I lucid dream most nights. Probably, in fact, most nights I lucid dream, you know, twice. And so I just went into a lucid dream using my, you know, bilocation method thing, which I've written a bit about on some forums, and I'll probably share a video about it at some point. And I got into the lucid dream, and I said, okay, sat down, and I closed my eyes in the dream, and I said, when I open my eyes, I am going to be in my bed in sleep paralysis. Opened my eyes, and sure enough, I was in bed in sleep paralysis. So I did the rope technique again. This time I continued it, and when it got too intense and too uncomfortable, I switched to imagining myself swinging, because that made the vibrations, you know, affect a different area of my body slightly, so it was less uncomfortable. So I did that, and then suddenly I thought I'd messed up. I was looking and I could see my bed, and it was like all blurry, like how my vision looks right now without my glasses on. It was all blurry, so I thought I'd just opened my eyes and woken up, and I could see, you know, the bed around me. And so I started to move to get up, and I noticed it was really like weird to move, like it was, I didn't feel like I was moving my limbs, I felt like I was just kind of rising up. And it was happening quite slowly, but I kept rising up and rising up and rising up. And then suddenly I was looking down on myself, and this is when I realised that I hadn't opened my eyes and messed it up. I was looking down on myself, and there was this long white cable, and I've heard all these stories of the white cord and stuff connecting you during astral projections, but I expected like this white glowing cord. What I got was more like an electric cable, like that you'd plug something in with. It was like a big electric cable going from, you know, somewhere on my stomach down to the stomach of my body in bed, and I was floating up and looking at myself, and I was just so in awe that I'd actually achieved it. I was like, holy shit, like I've actually done it. And I remember just looking at my body, and my vision was still really blurry, and this was annoying me because I can't see very well without glasses, and this is how my vision was when I was astral projecting. It was just as blurry. Now I remembered something about getting further away from your body and that improving your vision and stuff, so I started to try to move, but it was too late. I'd been standing there watching my body, or floating there watching my body, for too long, and at that point, you know, I just basically didn't have the energy to continue the projection, and I went back into my body. So yeah, that was my first astral projection story. It's not as exciting as a lot of other people's, I didn't really get very far with it, but it was a very exciting moment for me, and I want to share it with you guys, because I wanted to share with you guys how much of a struggle it can be to get to that first experience. Like, don't just give up after your first try. It's one of those things that you're going to fail and fail and fail, and then when it happens, it just happens so naturally and so easily, you're going to be shocked. But it's like, I mean, that experience, like, even though I didn't do anything that time, it still sticks with me today, like, so clear in my memory. So I thought I'd share it with you guys. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the little story. If you want to learn how to astral project, then check out the video up there. And if you want to be part of the community, you aren't already, then remember to subscribe, because we've got regular videos coming out every Wednesday and Saturday. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. Perhaps share your first astral projection experience, or share how long you've been trying and what methods you've been using if you haven't got there yet. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.